30,000 years ago, someone crawled into a cave and painted a horse. 20,000 years later, someone crawled into the same cave, found the same wall, and painted another horse. Same cave, same darkness, same wall. 20,000 years apart. We found the cave in 1994. We still don't know why they kept coming back. But the answer, or what we think might be the answer, is stranger than anything you'd expect. And it changes what you think you know about who we actually are. Let's start with the cave. The Chauvet Cave in southern France is not easy to get to. Not because of the location, because of the entrance. To get inside, you squeeze through a crack in a cliff face, roughly the width of a human body. Then you drop. Then you crawl. For several minutes, through tunnels so tight your shoulders touch both walls, in complete darkness, with nothing ahead of you but more darkness. And then the tunnel opens, and you're inside a chamber the size of a cathedral. And every wall is covered in animals. Lions, mammoths, rhinoceroses, bears, horses, hundreds of them, painted with a precision that makes professional artists uncomfortable. When photos of the Chauvet Cave first circulated in the scientific community in 1994, the initial reaction was not amazement. It was suspicion. Because the paintings were too good, the artists used perspective, shading, movement. They painted animals mid-stride, mid-roar, heads turning as if they'd been caught in a moment. Techniques that art historians had assumed were invented during the Renaissance, found in a cave, 30,000 years old. The scientists ran the carbon dating 3 times. Every time the result came back the same. 30,000 years. These weren't primitive scratches. This was art. Sophisticated, intentional, masterfully executed art. Made by people we've spent centuries assuming were barely thinking. But here's the thing that keeps scientists awake at night. The cave wasn't used once. It wasn't a single moment of inspiration. The Chauvet Cave was visited repeatedly over a span of at least 20,000 years. 20,000 years. To put that in perspective, the entire history of human civilization, from the first cities in Mesopotamia to right now, is roughly 5,000 years. These people returned to this cave for 4 times longer than civilization has existed. Generation after generation after generation, crawling through the same crack in the same cliff, finding the same walls, and adding to them. Why? That's the question that has consumed archaeologists, anthropologists, and neuroscientists for 30 years. And nobody has a clean answer. But the attempts to find one have uncovered something that nobody expected. The first theory was the obvious one: religious ritual. The caves were temples. The animals were gods, or spirits. The paintings were prayers, or offerings, or records of something sacred. It's a reasonable theory, until you look at where the paintings actually are. Some of the most spectacular art in the Chauvet Cave isn't near the entrance. It's at the very back, in chambers so deep that reaching them required hours of crawling in total darkness. No natural light, no sound from outside, nothing but the rock and the flame. Whoever painted there wanted to be as far from the surface world as possible. That's not where you build a temple. That's somewhere else entirely. The second theory was practical. Hunting magic. Painting an animal gave you power over it, showed the herd you were worthy, prepared the hunt spiritually. Reasonable. Except most of the animals painted in Chauvet were not hunted. Cave lions, woolly rhinoceroses, mammoths, the most dangerous animals in their world. Animals they avoided, not animals they hunted for food. So why paint them? And why keep coming back to paint them for 20,000 years? The third theory is the strangest one, and honestly the most convincing. In 2012, a researcher named David Lewis Williams proposed something that most scientists initially dismissed as too weird to take seriously. He argued that the paintings weren't made in normal consciousness. He argued that ancient humans were using the caves to enter altered states of mind, not drugs necessarily. Sensory deprivation. Think about what being deep inside the Chauvet Cave actually does to a human brain. Total darkness, complete silence, hours of crawling, the only light, a flickering torch. Modern neuroscience has shown that the human brain, deprived of sensory input for long enough, does not go quiet. It goes the other way. It starts generating its own images. Geometric patterns first. Spirals, grids, lines, then animals, faces, scenes, vivid, moving, intensely real. It's called the entoptic phenomenon. And here's what made Lewis Williams stop in his tracks. The geometric patterns that appear in early stages of sensory deprivation, they appear in cave paintings all over the world. Not just in France, in Spain, in South Africa, in Australia, in Indonesia. Thousands of miles apart, tens of thousands of years apart. The same patterns, over and over. People who had never met, who shared no culture, no language, no contact. All going into dark caves, all seeing the same things, all painting what they saw. Which means they weren't making things up. They were recording something real. something that happens inside a human brain when you take it far enough from the light. Something that was happening 30,000 years ago. Something that still happens now, if you've ever been in complete darkness long enough. But there's one more piece. The piece that changes everything. When researchers analyze the handprints found in cave art, and there are hundreds of them all over the world, the universal human signature, I was here, I did this, they found something unexpected. The majority of handprints in prehistoric caves were made by women, not hunters, not warriors, women and children. The people we'd spent a century imagining as passive, as domestic, as secondary, they were the ones crawling deepest into the earth. They were the ones going furthest from the light. They were the ones painting. For 20,000 years. And here's the thing about that. We don't know their names. We don't know their language. We don't know what they believed or how they lived or what they were trying to say. But 30,000 years later, in a cave in southern France, their handprints are still on the wall. Still perfectly preserved in the dark. Still saying the same thing. In the only language that doesn't need translating, I was here. I saw something. I needed you to know. And we crawled into that cave. And we found it. 30,000 years later, we found it.